Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Universal Transcendent. My talent is multiplied by 1,000 times. Chapter 41. Shouldn't I pick up a set of equipment for you? Are you resisting so fiercely? Don't tell me, this guy is quite powerful. With such a serious injury, I can hardly hold back. After a while, Zhou finally took off the alien's armor and glove. Damn it, if I didn't expect to get some information from you, I would have killed you with one knife. Zhou said angrily. The alien who had been stripped of his equipment lay on the ground, facing the cold rock wall, with a look of lovelessness on his face. Didn't bother with this guy. Zhou went to check on the other two. The two of them were still able to vent their anger before. It's dead now. Alright, save me from using a knife. So Zhou continued to pick up equipment. Bastard, doesn't he even let the dead body go? After noticing this scene, Agalu felt a gloomy heart. Strip off the equipment and throw the corpse into the furnace. Afterwards, Zhou came to the alien race. This guy is almost level 40. I was burned by my sun flame cloak for several seconds, and I still have the strength to resist. Also, even if he doesn't have the equipment, he is not too afraid of the burning of these flames. The saber technique that was cast just now contains purple flames. His transcendent spirit body should be biased towards flames. That's why I am not afraid of the burning of the flame in the center of the earth. The equipment is also better than other people. He should be the 10 commander of this team. Although I don't understand the language, Ryu Sr., as a steam wizard, should be proficient in various languages. Perhaps some useful information can be gleaned from him. Stand up. Zhou kicked the alien chief. The head of the alien race looked at Zhou coldly, unmoved. Can't understand people's language. Zhou frowned slightly. Kicking the alien chief again, Zhou pointed along the aisle. This time, the head of the foreign race finally understood Zhou's meaning. Get up and walk forward along the passage. 10 minutes later. At the same time that Zhou's strange voice came from next to Zhou's ear. The head of the alien race suddenly froze. Then, like a marionette, he wanted to walk along another passage. Zhou was able to resist the Transcendent Master's obsequious attraction. But it is obviously not acceptable for this alien 10 husband. Zhou found a rope. Tie it up. Forcefully drag in the direction you are going. More than half an hour later, Zhou who arrived at the destination spoke loudly. Ryu Sr. Oh, you caught a foreign race. Ryu's voice sounded. Well, a small team of them came to pick the fruit of the ghost flame, but I wiped it out by myself. This guy should be the leader of their tribe. I caught him, and I should be able to ask some useful information from him. Zhou said so. They are members of the Chenling clan, and their shape is similar to that of our human race, but as a spirit clan, although their spirit bloodline level is not high. But talent is still much better than our human race. Then there will be Lao Sr. As he spoke, Zhou looked at the alien chief who was tied up by him. At this moment, the head of the foreign race was still struggling to walk towards the position in the direction of the obscene bone. Unfortunately, the other end of the rope was tied to a boulder by Zhou. No matter how hard this guy struggled, with the power of Ryu radiating down, the head of the alien race suddenly woke up. He looked around the scene. It is already understood that this area should be before they came in. The transcendent despair that those advanced transcendents have warned about. He looked at Zhou, who was on the sidelines as if nothing had happened. The head of the 10 husbands of the alien race seemed to understand. I can't run away at all today. Koala guess. Kakalu. Rio's voice sounded. The 10 heads of different races were startled. Immediately, a burst of Kurikarla's narration began. 10 minutes later, only then did Ryu gently recount. What method did you use against this guy? He's terrified of you, and even said that as long as you don't hurt him, he will explain everything. Ah, I don't know either. Zhou spread his hands. Could it be that my sun flame cloak also has the deterrence of the soul? I'll have to experiment with it in the future. The plane they are in is the Alantu plane, which is a low-level transcendent plane, but it belongs to the top plane of the low-level transcendent plane, and it is not far from being promoted to the middle-level plane. Our Hanhygia transcendent plane was only promoted to the intermediate plane more than 200 years ago. He also said it was a sleeper member of the Revolutionary Army. I don't know if it was, but he said so. Revolutionary Army. Zhou Yu frowned. There are quite a few planes, those imperial powers, who have betrayed the Transcendent planes will to resist. Instead, he joined the camp of high-dimensional invaders. However, not all the residents in this plane are willing to join the camp of high-dimensional invaders. Those who do not want to join form their own armed forces. Continue to resist the high-dimensional invaders on their plane, and resist those empires that join the high-dimensional invaders. These people were called Revolutionary Army by Zhou Yu and others. Their goal is the same as that of Zhou Yu et al. Expel the high-dimensional invaders, and at the same time, destroy those empires that joined the high-dimensional invaders. Essentially, this guy is in the same camp as Zhou Yu. However, it's hard to say whether this guy is in the real revolutionary camp. Zhou Yu thought secretly, how about the specific layout over there? Zhou Yu asked. 3 camps of thousands of men. The 3 commanders are probably above level 60. There are more than 30 centurions, all of whom are probably above level 50. Then there are a large number of 10 commanders and soldiers. The 10 commanders are around 40 levels. The recruits are more than 20 levels, and the veterans are all more than 30 levels. After Griu's explanation, Zhou Yu already had a general understanding of the situation there. 3,000 battalions, maybe. Zhou Yu thought about it. I know what you're thinking. You want to rely on your own super frankness and strong attack power to kill along the vortex passage. Destroy those 3 camps of thousands of men. Zhou Yu smiled. Sure enough, nothing can be hidden from Griu Sr. I think I can try it. After all, the corpses there were searched, the Transcendent equipment alone is a massive resource. The harvest of the war is very amazing. As for Zhou Yu himself, now, he also has the confidence to form an army. If you want to die, I won't stop you. Griu's voice sounded faintly. Don't underestimate those battalions of thousands of men. Those masters over 60 levels are not something you can deal with now. I can't fight, can't I still escape? I drove the black flame armor, and wandering around in it at will is enough for them to bear. What will you do if they seal the passage? Or, those high-level transcendents have special means of control. They control you, what do you do? Zhou Yu, it should be impossible. You're so self-righteous, this is war. Once you pass, there is a high probability that you will never come back. Then you will be over there, besieged by countless strong men. They know that you are more special and strong in defense. After they catch you, they will take you to the Transcendent research room, slice you up, and study it well. You will enjoy all kinds of experiments in the first place. At the same time, they will extract your steam sequence and use it for fusion with those powerful transcendents. Steam Knight, the strength of the frontal hard steel is good, but you are still close to many strange methods. Okay, Zhou Yu spread his hands. Now I am only in my 20s, so there is no need to be too reckless. Then what should we do now? Zhou Yu asked in confusion. Continue to eat grass. Griu said lightly. Just eating grass doesn't solve the problem. Zhou Yu looked at this Chenling clan man, and while thinking about it, a good idea came to him. Griu Sr., do you have any means of language psychic communication, so that I can understand the language of their Chenling clan? After thinking for a while, Zhou Yu asked. Yes, but I can't send it to you. My place is deeper than the spiritual world. It would be pretty good to be able to talk to you and to have a certain amount of power come down. It's hard to send things out. That's fine. Zhou Yu felt a little helpless. Looking at the 10 commander of the Chenling clan, Zhou Yu thought about it. Griu Sr., regardless of whether the 10 commander of the Chenling clan is a revolutionary army or not, you just tell him that I will let him go back, and then ask him to tell the commander over there and others, just say, here a super genius with a Hanhygia plane. Let those commanders find a way to send people over to hunt me down. Since it's not easy for me to come over, let you come over. Zhou Yu's method is as simple as that. In the past, there were many enemies. But if the enemy came, this would be Zhou Yu's home field. Although Zhou Yu couldn't be sure whether this guy was a revolutionary army. But if you give it a try, there is still a chance to let the people over there come over. Once successful, the benefits are huge. Even if it doesn't work. All the equipment on this guy has been stripped off by Zhou Yu. It doesn't hurt to put it back. Immediately, Griu began to talk to the 10 husbands of the Chenling clan. After a while, the 10th chief of the Chenling clan looked at Zhou Yu in a daze. He didn't think he would survive either. But it seems that the person I met seems to be a member of the high-dimensional invader resistance camp. He agreed. Ryu responded a moment later. I don't need to think about it. He will definitely agree. Let's go, said Zhou Yu, untied the rope from the boulder. Pulling the alien commander, he walked in the direction of the whirlpool passage. After more than half an hour, they came to the ghost flame area. Untied the 10 captain, pointing to the vortex channel. Let's go. However, what surprised Zhou Yu was that the 10-man commander did not run away immediately. He stood still and looked at Zhou Yu. Then he raised his arm and pointed to his own wrist. What does it mean? Go. Zhou Yu waved his hand. However, the alien chief did not leave. Instead, he firmly pointed to On's wrist. Now Zhou Yu understood what the other party meant. Just now, Zhou Yu had scavenged the opponent's equipment. Its transcendent bracelet was snatched by Zhou Yu. At this time, this guy obviously wants to get his own transcendent storage bracelet back. Zhou Yu glanced at the things inside, but there was nothing valuable. Seeing that the other party acted like, if you don't give it to me, I won't leave. Zhou Yu had no choice but to take out the transcendent bracelet. I've stripped you of all your equipment. I'll give you this transcendent bracelet. After you bring it back, it's not easy to explain. You might as well take it back and sell it for money. This transcendent bracelet with storage features is not low in value, and the starting price is thousands of transcendent coins. When Zhou Yu handed the transcendent bracelet to the 10 chief of the Chenling tribe, that Chenling Zhu's 10 husbands did not leave immediately. Instead, he rummaged through the transcendent bracelet. After a while, the 10 commander of the Chenling clan took out a palm-sized black item from the bracelet. Put it in front of Zhou Yu. This is... Zhou Yu's expression froze and he looked at it carefully. Languages pass spirit stones. Zhou Yu's eyes suddenly brightened. The language master spirit stones allows Zhou Yu to quickly master some common vocabulary in their ethnic group language. At that time, Zhou Yu will be able to have some simple communication. What the Ryu Senior didn't bring out, but this guy has it. Could it be that this guy is really a revolutionary army, carrying such a treasure with him just to prevent himself from being caught, and then communicate to save his life? Pass this language to spirit stones. Throw it into the melting furnace of the steam spirit. A large amount of the original language of the Chenling clan was digested and absorbed by Zhou Yu. Can you understand what I'm saying? At this time, the 10 commander of the Chenling clan spoke again, and it was no longer a gibberish voice. Zhou Yu already understood what he meant. Bye. Zhou Yu tried to speak, but found that his words were very awkward. For transcendence, even if they have language proficiency, spirit stones can quickly master the language, but it still takes some practice to speak it fluently. It is even necessary to cooperate with Transcendent to change oral pronunciation habits. Here you are, said the 10th chief of the Chenling clan, and handed the transcendent bracelet to Zhou Yu again. This kid is pretty smart. Knowing that I stripped off his equipment and left him a bracelet alone, he will definitely be suspected when I go back. Zhou Yu unceremoniously took back the transcendent bracelet. You are very powerful. Do you want to kill more soldiers in those strongholds? That's right. Zhou Yu nodded. Yagalu's heart sank slightly. Even if those people worked for the invaders, they were still his kind. But he wants to cooperate with the person in front of him and join hands to eliminate his own clan. Yagalu even had some doubts about the correctness of what he did. But soon he adjusted. In order to resist the invaders, the soldiers of the Revolutionary Army have long had the consciousness of dedicating themselves. The death of war is inevitable. As long as you can win, all the price is worth paying. As long as they can weaken the power of the high-dimensional invaders, even a little bit, they need to do their best. Then you have to be ready. For the hunting of geniuses, the garrison has such a mission. At the same time, you have to be careful of those commanders, their strength is terrifying. Don't worry, my strength is stronger than you imagined. Zhou Yu said lightly. Looking at Zhou Yu, Agalu stopped talking and walked towards the vortex passage. Yagalu, who had been completely masked RB*Ted, returned to the garrison camp. After being questioned, the centurion on duty immediately realized the seriousness of the matter. Report to the commander's tent with Yagalu. Commander's tent. He looked at Yagalu, who was kneeling on the ground, and his equipment was looted. The light in the eyes of the commander, Talishan, is like a sharp blade. What you said is true. It's absolutely true. Yajlu's tone was unusually firm. Only then did Talishan slowly look away. 20 levels, steam sequence, just some kind of burning method, instantly wiped out your team. Also, even if your blade hits his neck, it will hardly hurt him. Only the Supreme Protoss in this world can possess such unimaginable strength and means. And he is just a human race of Hanhygia. And he let you back and brought us a message. Tell us to send equipment to him. Yes, Yajlu nodded again. This Hanhygia's genius is really rampant. At this moment, Dao Lishan was laughed angrily. If the opponent is an intermediate transcendent above level 40, they may also be a little apprehensive. But the other party is nothing more than a level 20 transcendent. Even if you have a steam sequence, that is just barely enough to have the qualifications to enter the barracks and be cannon fodder. And just such a small cannon fodder. After killing one of their squads, they were so rampant that they released a person back, clamoring for their people to go over, send equipment. It was so ridiculous that he wanted to laugh. Order the whole army. Array, attack. The sound of chilling is like the cry of golden spears. Yes, when the army of the Chenling clan began to line up. Zhou Yu in the tunnel to the center of the earth. Acting as a small expert in weeding. At this time, Zhou Yu was already in the steam space and began to pile up the second small haystack. It's been more than an hour, and it hasn't come yet. Couldn't have been deceived by that guy. Forget it, it doesn't matter if you cheat or not. If you come, I will take the equipment. If you don't come, I will pull the weeds at ease. Okay, Zhou Yu, who was a little bored while weeding, raised his eyebrows. He raised his head and looked towards the direction of the vortex channel. Is someone here? Ignoring Zhou Yu, who continued to weed, he walked towards the location of the vortex channel. Ho, look around. There was a large group of Chenling warriors wearing armor and holding spears and war blades. They are filing in along the vortex channel. There are so many people. Now it's interesting. At this time Zhou Yu was not in a hurry to do anything. Just look at it from afar. Naturally, the more people here, the better. Wait until the other party has finished forming an array before killing himself. The Chenling army also discovered Zhou Yu immediately. Soldiers in the front row quickly formed a defensive lineup. Stand ready to prevent Zhou Yu from rushing into the formation and hindering the entry of the rear army. While Zhou Yu was waiting, the number of people began to increase. 400 to 500 people have come. Still coming in. Do you want all the people from this 1,000-man battalion to come? One person's equipment is almost 400 transcendent coins, and 1,000 people is 4 million transcendent coins. Hiss. 400,000 transcendent coins. So many transcendent coins are enough for my talent to be promoted to C level, and I can even advance to B level for a while. Tisk tisk. Not to mention, there are also 10 centurions and centurions. Their equipment and transcendent bracelets are more expensive. Almost, all right. When the army on the opposite side arrived, there were about 600 or 700 people entering. Zhou Yu didn't wait any longer. Sunflame cloak. Jump. 2 long jumps in a row. Zhou Yu directly spanned a distance of more than 200 meters. It fell directly into the crowd. At this time, the steam spirit body was operated at full power by Zhou Yu. The burning range of the Sunflame cloak even reached 30 meters, and the burning range was nearly 3 times higher than before. The moment Zhou Yu jumped in. Wow, the black flame was like a devil, instantly igniting hundreds of people within a radius of 30 meters. Those ordinary equipment may be able to resist the flames in the center of the earth. But for Zhou Yu's flame, it couldn't resist at all. Help, what? Damn, this flame can't be extinguished at all. The hundreds of people who were burned all fell to the ground and struggled frantically. Zhou Yu jumped to the side array again. Wow. Another 100 people were set on fire. Court death. Block him. Several 50-level centurions saw their subordinates being burned in large numbers. Quickly joined forces to encircle and suppress them. Boom boom boom. Several remote transcendent means. It exploded on Zhou Yu. Ha, Zhou Yu's expression changed. I feel it. The attacks of these 50-level centurions are still very powerful. When it hit me, I already felt a slight pain. But there is still a big gap in the distance from breaking the defense. It is estimated that only the commander-in-chief is barely qualified to meet the standard of breaking the defense. But what about after breaking the defense? I'm afraid the amount of damage is very small. I'm afraid I haven't called as many as I have returned. That is, under the attack of several centurions, Zhou Yu's eyes narrowed slightly. Killed so many people in a short period of time, and they were all transcendents in their 30s. The attributes of this growth swell instantly. This damn indestructible grip, the efficiency of growth absorption is too high. Feeling the talent of the immortal grip, Zhou Yu transmitted as much growth attribute as possible to the steam spirit body. If this continues, Zhou Yu himself will be blown up before the enemy is finished. Transmitting more attributes to the steam spirit body is one of the methods Zhou Yu has been researching during this time. This can effectively solve Zhou Yu's problem of sustainable killing. When Zhou Yu will transmit a large amount of attribute growth to the past. Zhou Yu had already burned all the 6 centurion battalions that had arrived. Soldiers wailing and rolling were everywhere. The power of the Sun Flame Cloak is extremely fierce. If there is no talent of the flame type, it will basically die suddenly in a few seconds. And under Zhou Yu's extreme urging, in a second or two, these 30-odd soldiers died on the spot. At this time, not only the soldiers, but also the 10 commanders were almost burned by Zhou Yu. Even the 6 centurions who besieged Zhou Yu. At this time, my heart was also terrified. When they besieged Zhou Yu, the pervasive flame power directly passed through their flame defense armor. Intense burning began on their bodies. And the damage is exaggerated. Even they can't hold it for too long. However, this is not the scariest. The most terrifying thing is the enemy in front of him. The 6 of them teamed up. Even the commander-in-chief, Talashan, did not dare to resist easily. And the Steam Knight in front of him was only level 20. Just resist their output like that. Set fires all over the camp. Those transcendent skills of them. Whether it is physical injury, soul injury, or other types of means. Hit this Steam Knight. Lang did not act as a hindrance to it. And their subordinates were here in less than half a minute. Almost wiped out by this little guy in his 20s in front of him. Such a large range of damage ability. Such an unimaginable defense ability. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they would never have believed it. Big sword, Zhou Yu shouted loudly. A golden light shines like a golden sun shining high in the sky. Boom, the blade fell. The injured centurion still wanted to dodge. The holy sword seemed to have eyes. Instant pour. The centurion's body trembled, and his body crashed to the ground. The centurion who was still besieging felt his heart tremble suddenly. This guy, not only does he have amazing defense, but his output ability is also very exaggerated. Even if Dikla is injured, it's not enough for a Steam Knight at level 20 to be unable to handle a transcendent skill. Is this guy a monster? Is the centurion so vulnerable? Seeing the guy who was directly beheaded by On's big sword, Zhou Yu secretly asked. Cage slash. While Zhou Yu was jumping, a Fengyiang Zan slashed down at a centurion. The centurion still wanted to dodge. However, the densely staggered wind blades are incredibly fast. Chi. More than a dozen shadow-like wind blades passed by. His head was thrown straight away. It turns out that cage slash is enough to deal with these guys. Cage slash. Zhou Yu flicked his skills at the necks, eyes, and faces of these guys. The cage Zan, which contains the high-precision transcendent characteristic, in Zhou Yu's hands, it seems to have swollen eyes. Aim the position and release directly. Then just leave it to Fengyiang Zan. Chi. Dense wind blades swept down. None of the remaining 4 centurions survived. All of them were beheaded by Zhou Yu. At the same time, the 7th centurion also waited for many of his men to pass through the vortex passage. When he saw corpses all over the ground, rising black flames, and several centurions whose heads were thrown flying, and the Steam Knight bathed in black flames, like god of war. Retreat. The centurion made the most correct decision in his life. Commander-in-chief camp, Talashan with a gloomy face was listening to the report of the centurion, Kulu. The disdainful thoughts before, at this moment, have turned into consternation and trepidation. The news hit his heart like a heavy hammer. It was hard for him to believe this fact. He didn't even notice that his hand holding the tea was trembling slightly. With my own strength, wipe out 6 Centurion battalions. From the time we entered the formation to the end of the battle, it didn't take 5 minutes. That guy. How is it possible? However, no matter how hard it is to believe, the truth is right in front of you. The 20th level Steam Knight. It is so powerful and incredible. It would take a long time to deal with the 6 Centurions on his own, even for him. And according to Karu's report, he saw the 20th level Steam Knight wielding a heavy sword. The black blade cut off the heads of the 4 Centurions. Even the 4 Centurions did not hide. Some uncanny precision. If it hits the armor, it may not be instant kill. But if you hit a vulnerable part like the neck, you can imagine the consequences. Even if I go there, I probably won't be able to deal with that guy. With the cooperation of the other 2 commanders, there may be hope, but expect the other 2 to join forces. Thinking of this, Dao Lishan sneered. Stay in the vortex channel and block it. Prevent that Steam Knight from entering. I will immediately report to the Supreme Protoss camp. Tao Linshan quickly ordered. Faced with such a loss, after reporting, he will definitely face heavy punishment. But if you don't report it, you will go directly to a military court, and it's hard to say whether you can come back alive. Here, it's really rich. Although it's not as exaggerated as 1,000 people, it's more than 600 people. After all, there are more than 200,000 Transcendent coins. Rounded up, that's 100 million. It's just so many bodies, it's a bit too much. I used to be a little expert at weeding, but now I'm going to become a corpse mover. Sure enough, a war cannot be waged by one person alone. The post-war preparation work alone is a huge workload. Looking at Zhou Yu, who was strewn with corpses, his eyes sparkled. I am thinking about it. There was movement in the vortex channel. Zhou Yu looked over, but found that the rotation of the vortex channel seemed to be imprisoned. Block the passage. Are you afraid that I will kill you? But that's good too. Thinking of this, Zhou Yu looked at the guys on the ground who were not completely dead. Rescue those injured guys, let them help me work, and don't worry about them escaping back. Zhou Yu first searched for the transcendent bracelets of those Centurions. Sure enough, there are many healing potions. Then Zhou Yu started looking for the wounded who were not dead. Looking for Zhou Yu, who was looking back and forth among the corpses. I feel a little bit in my heart. Immediately, he jumped to the back of a lush grove of ghost flames. It was as if a pot had exploded. A total of 6 or 7 people rushed out of the ghost flame grass. Zhou Yu jumped continuously and kicked these people down. My lord, don't kill me. I have an 80-year-old mother and a 3-year-old wife and child. I beg your lord to show mercy. Please, my lord, we were just captured by them to serve as soldiers. These people knelt on the ground and begged Zhou Yu for mercy. It doesn't matter if you don't kill you, Zhou Yu said in this unproficient Chenling language. As long as you work here honestly for me, I won't kill you. Besides, don't even try to escape. The gate of the vortex has been sealed. And outside, it is the forbidden area of death. As long as the adults don't kill us, we are willing to do anything. When these people heard that Zhou Yu was willing to let them go, they immediately nodded frantically. Very well, now you go to find the wounded. Use these potions to revive those who can be revived, Zhou Yu ordered. Thank you, my lord. These people immediately acted according to Zhou Yu's order. Soon, about 20 people were carried together by these people. None of these people were seriously injured. A simple treatment can basically recover. After all, the physique of a Transcendent is still very strong. As for those seriously injured, Zhou Yu didn't waste the potion anymore, and just killed him with one knife. There are 32 people in total, which is not bad. Looking at the 32 people, Zhou Yu nodded slightly. Now your task is to take off the equipment of these corpses. The corpses are thrown together, and the equipment is thrown together. Do you understand? Clear. The 32 people nodded one after another. Then let's get started. Zhou Yu waved his hand. He probably knew that he was trapped here and could not escape. These 32 people can only do coolie work under Zhou Yu. The work efficiency of these 30 people is still very fast. 3 or 4 hours later, the corpses of nearly 600 people were piled up together, and the equipment was piled up together. Zhou Yu began to store many corpses and equipment. The 32 looked at Zhou Yu anxiously. Killing prisoners of war is a common occurrence on the battlefield. Not to mention the war of alien races. That's basically nothing left alive. And Zhou Yu obviously didn't intend to kill them. After all, this is more than 30 laborers. I pull the weeds by myself, and I don't know how long it will take. And these more than 30 people. I'm afraid that 1 or 2 days will be enough to pull out all the ghost flame grass here. Next, your job is to pull weeds. Looking at the more than 30 people who were idle, Zhou Yu spoke. Weed. This order was so outrageous that they didn't react immediately. Do you want me to repeat it a second time? More than 30 people dispersed in a rush, turning into ghost flame harvesters one after another. Turning around, Zhou Yu looked at the sealed vortex channel. It's such a big loss. I don't think they'll let it go. On this issue, it should be our only consensus. When more than 30 prisoners of war were weeding, Zhou Yu was also doing subterranean training at the side. This fight, although Zhou Yu absorbed the full amount of attributes, there were only about 300. But, high-level transcendents can gain level-up experience without a limit. Moreover, the least level of these transcendents is level 30. Many of those 10 commanders are in their 40s. The 6 centurions are all in their 50s. This wave of fighting. Zhou Yu's level soared to 28th level. It's not far from level 30. 30 grades. It is equivalent to the top level of a beginner transcendent. However, on the transcendent battlefield, it will still be used as cannon fodder. Level 40 is considered an intermediate transcendent, eligible to enter the low-level transcendent battlefield for fighting. Normally speaking, the improvement of the level is relatively slow. But Zhou Yu's level improvement obviously cannot be measured by normal people's standards. I don't know when people will come over there. But anyway, it's right for me to continue practicing here. Strive to break through to level 30 in these 2 days. Every 10 levels is a threshold. The transformation of the 10th level and the 20th level before, the increase is very huge. This time, once the threshold of level 30 is crossed, my strength will be even stronger. At that time, there will be more frankness absorbed every day. At that time, even a commander at the 60th level will still be scraping in front of me. Immediately, Zhou Yu calmed down. Start diving. The work efficiency of more than 30 people is still very fast. At noon the next day, the ghost flame grass around here has been pulled out by these guys. There are 8 haystacks piled up. Zhou Yu stored all these ghost flames into the own steam space. At this moment, those 30 people gathered together and were eating. When I saw Zhou Yu storing so many ghost flames, couldn't help talking in a low voice. The alien storage ability is really amazing. He has stored the hundreds of sets of equipment and hundreds of corpses before. Now this is enough to pile up several rooms of haystacks, and he actually stored it again. It is said that the relatively large transcendent bracelet is only a dozen cubic meters. How did it do it? That goes without saying. This night must be a steam sequence, with a steam space. Even if it's a steam space, his 20-odd levels are at most half the size of a room, and he can't store so much. You guys don't understand this. At this moment, a veteran could not help but brag while drinking the good wine he took out from the Centurion Transcendence bracelet. His face flushed slightly. That guy, he's a super steam knight. He should have a huge steam space. Super steam knight, huge steam space. Others around looked over. The veteran took another sip of wine and talked about the past. When I was young like you, when I rushed to the transcendent battlefield, I witnessed the battle of those real strongmen. An old senior told us. In our opinion, rank is the core existence. The higher the level, the stronger the strength. This is a matter of course. However, in the eyes of the real strong, the level is obviously not directly linked to the strength. Those who are really strong are concerned about their own sequence star rank, transcendent skills, combat talents and so on. We have been in the first star rank all our lives, and being able to advance to the second star rank is all bragging capital. And for those who are really strong, the starting point is at least 2-star, or even 3-star, and they are all special sequences. Even those strong people can continuously improve their own star level in the battle. The 4-star level and 5-star level are all completely present. In addition to the star level, those super strong, they can easily break through their own transcendent skills. Among you, there are many talented people. Is there anyone who can cultivate their own transcendent skills to 3rd level? Everyone shook their heads. Don't talk about 3rd level, even if it's 2nd level, it's bragging capital +1 again. And like that kind of super strong, their transcendent skills can easily break through 3rd level, reach 4th level, 5th level, or even 6th level. Every 1st level improvement, the power of the skill is at least doubled. Before, the veteran lowered his voice when he said this. I think when he killed those centurions, it was just in the blink of an eye. Obviously that transcendent skill has been cultivated to a superb level. That's a height we'll never reach in our lifetime. Sequential star rank, transcendent skills, transcendent talent, and sequence space are all beyond our imagination. Such an existence as a super soldier. On the battlefield, they are all top powerhouses with 1 against 10,000. One person can turn the tide of battle on a local battlefield. You've all seen what happened just now. Even if all of us from the 1,000 soldiers battalion came here, in front of this guy, they would just be easily killed by him. These words of the veteran. It immediately resonated with these people. They didn't even realize what was going on in yesterday's battle. They fail miserably. With 1 enemy 1,000, one man forms an army, they thought it was bragging before. But the Steam Knight in front of him was lower than them. Successfully taught them a lesson. The gap between humans may be even greater than the gap between humans and pigs. At least 600 pigs were running around, and they wouldn't die so quickly. As long as a guy like that grows up, inevitably become a transcendent master. The veteran hiccuped and said drunkenly, Master Transcendent. These soldiers were slightly condensed. The top mid-level transcendents are already commanders, so they can easily determine their life and death. High-level transcendents above level 70 are even more qualified to serve as Chief 10,000. And transcendent masters with more than 100 levels. In their view, it is like a godlike existence. It will be remembered in mainland history books and written as a transcendent biography. Is this guy one of those geniuses who can leave a name in history according to word of mouth? At this time, many soldiers couldn't help but sneak a look at Zhou Yu. After all, such a legendary super genius. They've all only heard of it in hearsay. In reality, even Captain Wang was watching from a distance during the military parade. And at this time, this legendary genius is actually so close to them. They even have a chance to rush up and touch it. Of course, if they really do this, then probably this will be their once and only chance in this short life. But anyway, there are not many opportunities to observe super geniuses up close like this. The entrance to the Vortex Channel. Chinfu Battalion Garrison. The wind was howling, and the black banner was loudly resounding in the wind and waves. Talishan, Anka, Russell. The 3 commanders stationed in this remote place used to be like the emperors of the earth. At this time, the bodies of the 3 people were trembling slightly, and they knelt on the ground with cold sweat on their foreheads. His forehead was pressed tightly to the ground. It's like making a big hole in the ground. They were still kneeling by the side of the road. And the hope of getting a glimpse of the soles of the great man's shoes. And the 3,000 husband camps. That large number of centurions, tens of commanders, and thousands of soldiers. They were kneeling on the spot, not even qualified to see the souls of the big man of the Protoss. 3 days ago, Dao Lishan posted the information here. Such a large loss of troops. He was ready for punishment. However, the military edict came. It made him so terrified that he didn't even fall asleep last night. The message of the military edict is simple. That is, the 3 Supreme Protoss will be escorted by 2 Transcendent Masters today. Go to their camp. Supreme Protoss. An existence that even their emperor would kneel down to worship. At this time, they actually came to their small place. This made him, the little commander, feel inexplicably terrified. Even if he is punished, there will not be the arrival of the Supreme God clan. Soon Dao Lishan figured it out. That high-dimensional Protoss came for the alien genius of Hanhygia in the alien vortex channel in all likelihood. Kneeling on the ground waiting for Talishan. Felt an airship descending. But Talishan didn't dare to look up, let alone look. Because 2 hours ago, there was already a team of strong men who arrived. Get them ready. They have been kneeling here for 2 full hours. Patchwork footsteps, from far to near. Who is Tally Mountain? There was a sound. At this time, Dao Lishan barely propped up and knelt on On's upper body, but still bowed his head. On the plain of Yalantu, Article 12 of the Sokranli Empire Constitution Law. Looking directly at the Supreme Protoss for no reason is a felony. My lord, I'm Talishan. Talishan tried his best not to tremble in his own tone. Very good. The man's voice came. Repeat what happened to you in the Vortex Cave. Concentrating on Tali Mountain, he once again explained the previous battle report in detail. Where is that man named Yagalu? I have been taken into custody and locked up in the dungeon. After a brief exchange with the Supreme Protoss, the man spoke again. Bring Yagalu up. Yes, soon, Agalu was lifted up in shackles. Before coming, Agalu was also told who he was about to face. All the way he was staring at own toes. After arriving at the place, he simply knelt down. Because a child pointed at the airship of the Supreme Protoss and laughed, and the entire village was massacred, everyone in the Sokran Empire knew it. Supreme Protoss, do not offend. Otherwise, capital offense. Explain in detail what happened to you on the other side of the Vortex Channel. Yes, Yagalu elaborated, and the Transcendent Master. On the other hand, beside the three Supreme Protoss, they were translating in time. Even though, these three Supreme Protoss are proficient in their language. Big brother, he said that the Steam Knight of Hanhygia sounds quite powerful. The Supreme Protoss, who owns the crown of the Holy Throne, is in charge of the 5-star Steam Angel sequence. Alulina, looking at the big brother, Gal Luo, beside him. There is such a little bit of means. Gal Luo nodded. After all, Hanhygia's resistance to us on the Transcendent battlefield is quite a headache. Although many of their people were killed by us. But they are like weeds, they can't be killed all the time. If you kill all the crops, you won't know where to start the new ones. However, they have been unable to resist for how long? Well, from what they said, this Steam Knight of Hanhygia is still barely able to become the next disciple of your angel sequence. Gal Luo said. If his strength is really good, then after going back this time, you can complete the promotion ceremony of the 6-star Steam Angel. Then when will I be able to become a 7-star star like a big brother, lighting up the own star sequence? Elena asked curiously. Hanhygia has a lot of steam sequences. The resources are sufficient, but it takes time. The 6-star ones need time to settle. Elena nodded earnestly. In the future, I will definitely become a powerful 7-star existence like Big Brother. Gal Roy smiled. At that time, your level breakthrough is 50, and we can go to the high-level plane to play. What's so fun about going to a higher plane? There are battles everywhere. Elena complained. Okay, open the vortex passage, let me go in and see the Steam Knight of Hanhygia. I hope that knight hasn't gone far. Elena said. Yes, Dao Lishan said tremblingly. When Tao Linshan led his men to unblock the vortex channel, Gal Luo looked at Captain Wan who was beside him. What is the level limit of the vortex channel? Level 64. Chief Wan gave an accurate response. After getting a response, Gal Luo looked at the guards on the side and said. Andre, Your Highness, what are your orders? Andre, the guard specially selected by Gal Luo this time, stepped forward. Although he is also a member of the Supreme Protoss, it is a lower Protoss. And Gal Luo and Elena are high-ranking Protoss. Your level is only 62, you can go through the passage, make sure to protect Elena's safety. Remember, don't let her run around. The other side of the passage is a dangerous area. It may not be dangerous for us, but there is no need to take risks, you know. Understood, Andre responded cautiously. Soon under the operation of everyone. The door that sealed the vortex channel was opened, and then they knelt on the ground on both sides, waiting for the entry of the Supreme Protoss. The bored Elena, who had been waiting for a long time, went straight into the vortex channel. And when Andre, who was following her, wanted to enter, but his complexion changed, he hurriedly said, His Royal Highness Gal Luo, this passage is a bit unstable, and I cannot pass through. What? Gal Luo's expression changed. Immediately he gave instructions to the Transcendent Master beside him. Send someone over immediately and let Elena come out. The Transcendent Master also trembled, and quickly sent people over. But soon, those people came back. At the same time, they also brought back Elena's reply. Whoever you dare to come over to disturb me again, I will kill you all. Damn it, Gal Luo frowned suddenly as he squeezed his fist suddenly. As far as Elena's willfulness is concerned, she said so, and she will definitely do the same if she sends someone over there. The other party was just a steam knight in his 20s. And Elena's level is as high as 48, and it is a steam angel sequence, and there is also a 9th level angel source armor. Defeat the opponent and accept the opponent as own believer. Gal Luo has no doubts about this. After all, he still knows the level of genius of Hanhygia. She was afraid that his wayward little sister would not want to come back after playing there for a while. And it is the time node when the flames in the center of the earth erupt, and the ghost knows what abnormal situation will appear there. This is the root of his worry. Sure enough, there are ghost flames in other areas. Now you don't have to worry about those guys just eating and not working there. Zhou Yu, who was walking in the passage, thought about it secretly. After these days of penance. Yesterday, Zhou Yu's level breakthrough reached level 30. This level of promotion speed is not unpleasant. After all, Zhou Yu's current talent has also reached the D level. When it was E level before, it surpassed the level of SSS level. Now D level talent, after a 1,000-fold increase. Zhou Yu wanted to upgrade the level specifically, and the speed was still very fast. Level breakthrough to level 30. Zhou Yu couldn't figure out why those 30 people could not continue to idle there. So I went to find Ryu Sr. After some inquiries. As expected, in another passage corner, there is also a large piece of ghost flame grass. Just when Zhou Yu came to this passage full of joy. Where are people? Zhou Yu looked around Zhou Yu. However, they found that the more than 30 strong coolies had disappeared. Damn it, as a foreman, I have already found jobs for you, but you actually ran away. Can there be some trust between people? Just as Zhou Yu was looking around. Are you the steam knight? A foreign language sounded. This peculiar language has long lines and clear pronunciation, as if the aftertaste of the piano is lingering. A variety of tones are blended together, not messy, but full of a pleasant feeling. This language is so strange. So much so that Zhou Yu almost thought that he was in the examination room, and there was a steam radio playing the language of the high-dimensional Protoss to do reading comprehension for himself. But this is obviously not an examination room, and there is no steam radio. Zhou Yu turned around. That moment, Zhou Yu had a feeling that the legend had come into reality. A man of the high-dimensional Protoss with 6 mechanical wings, tall and straight, and wearing steam source armor came into view. High-dimensional Protoss. A genuine high-dimensional Protoss. Zhou Yu couldn't help rubbing his eyes, afraid that he might be wrong. That's right, it was just a person from the high-dimensional Protoss who appeared in front of Own. High-dimensional Protoss. Their body proportions are 9 heads. The proportion of the bodies up and down is perfectly in line with the golden rule. They are a natural source of power. It is not the mother's uterus that conceives them, but the mother's origin force fetal world. This allows them to have an extremely comfortable and perfect environment from the very beginning of development. When they show up, transcendent source power will spontaneously surround them, like the stars surrounding the moon. Such incredible racial characteristics. As long as you are not blind, you can immediately distinguish the high-dimensional Protoss. Zhou Yu looked at this high-dimensional Protoss. Then he took 2 steps sideways, and then stretched his head to look behind the high-dimensional Protoss. The high-dimensional Protoss were also stunned by Zhou Yu's strange movements. Seeing the high-dimensional Protoss, shouldn't you be afraid or hate them? What the hell are you staring at? Don't understand the language of our ethnic group. Elena frowned slightly. After seeing what you want to see. Only then did Zhou Yu calm down. Then he looked at this high-dimensional Protoss with his eyes slightly focused. I understand, and I can speak a little bit. Ah, you can understand, that's great. Seeing that Zhou Yu could speak the language of their ethnic group, Elena was slightly pleasantly surprised. I am the Steam Angel sequence, and I need the next knight to be a believer. They said that your strength is good, and I also feel that your strength seems to be good. I allow you to be a follower of my next knight. Elena said flatly. But the words and writing are full of arrogance and unreasonableness. Zhou Yu immediately raised his hand to indicate that I have something to say. Do you have any questions? Elena asked. Then, Zhou Yu pointed to the vortex channel behind Elena. You opened it. Well, that's right. After getting a satisfactory answer, Zhou nodded. That's great. Can you pull weeds? Pull the weeds. Elena didn't react for a while. Understand. I can explain. Zhou calculated the accounts carefully. Those 32 people just now, they are all my slaves, and they want to perform the work of pulling weeds for me. And you let them go, so next, you need to replace their weeding work. Elena understood instantly. This low-level steam knight is playing with her. To compare her with those slaves. This made Elena unavoidably angry. But she still held her temper. Said straightly. I'll ask you again, if you are willing to become my knight of faith, I can give you resources to train you. I can even give you SS-level talent, SS-level skills. If you refuse, I will punish you as before. At that time, you will passively become my knight of faith. Zhou's eyes narrowed slightly. The knight of faith in the angel sequence. Zhou had heard a little about it. Become a stepping stone to its lower order. In other words, it is to become a humanoid steam engine in the steam kingdom. Only the high-dimensional Protoss would do such an outrageous thing. SS-level talent, SS-level skills, the asking price is so high, I feel like turning back. It's a pity. I have no interest in making a humanoid steam engine. Also, if you kill this high-level Protoss, the rewards should be even more exaggerated. Reach out and grab it lightly. The Blood Gang heavy-edged sword fell into his hand. I think, as a high-dimensional Protoss, you should not have actually entered the cruel test before this. Your arrogance and ignorance are completely written on your face. In your world, this world has always centered on you, right? Isn't it? The high-dimensional Protoss Elena said as a matter of course. Obviously. Zhou smiled. You don't realize the mistake you made. But soon, you'll understand. Elena still maintained that haughty posture. Sure enough, the natives of Hanhygia are a group of non-flowering species. Only justice and punishment can make you wake up. Then stretch out your hands. The 7th Order Transcendent weapon, Holy Feather Sword condensed by light and blooming in the hand. It's not that she doesn't understand what to do. Because his big brother often educates him like this. For these natives, the sword in your hand is the best truth. Although she sometimes doesn't want to be so bloody and violent. But in the face of this group of non-flowering natives, violence is always the best method. The light feather sword thrust forward slightly. The streamer runs through a distance of 100 meters in an instant, so fast that it is difficult to reflect. For a moment, Zhou had the feeling that the passage was lit up. Laugh. The ground was torn apart by the light of the Holy Feather Sword. This sword, of course, is approaching the extreme. However, using his jumping skills, Zhou deftly avoided this strike. Just like the group of soldiers who fled said. Skill training is very difficult. With the 5th level jump, Zhou can move 100 meters in an instant without any problem. Feeling the power of that blow, Zhou couldn't help but look at the ravine. The depth is at least 7 or 8 meters. The power was so powerful that Zhou was a little startled. Is this the high-dimensional Protoss? With just one strike, the power is so strong that it is suffocating. Finally, someone can break the defense. Yes. Facing this high-dimensional Protoss who didn't know why they came. Zhou's only thought now is, how beautiful your previous life was, how cruel is today's reality. The jumping ability is quite fast. But apparently my sword is faster. Seeing that Zhou actually used his jumping ability to dodge On's blow. Elena was slightly surprised. After all, these natives, their talents are weak, and their control over the sequence is even more pitiful. Among intermediate transcendents, she tries to fight a lot of people. But those mid-level transcendents in their 60s and above. It was also difficult to avoid her blow. Once hit by a sword, you will be half disabled if you don't die. And the Steam Knight in front of her seemed to be faster than she imagined. The more powerful the Steam Knight, after being accepted as own believer. Her strength and growth limit will also be higher. Elena, who has been in a high position for a long time, has not weak combat experience. In addition to its own strength, 7th tier weapons, 9th tier origin force armor. It also allows her to have desperately high damage and almost invincible defense. The condescending Elena waved her hands together. 2 sword glows crossed and swept across. This time the attack was faster. Jump. For a long time, Zhou Yu's hard-trained jumping skills finally have room to play. When a jump avoids an attack, Zhou Yu arrived at Elena's side almost instantly. Open black lens bracket, light feather blade, close black lens bracket. Already cultivated to 5th level AA level skills. The light feather blade bloomed in Zhou Yu's hand instantly. The scorching light was like a dazzling sun. Light feather blade is a transcendent skill of this attack type. It is very similar to the transcendent weapon, Holy Feather Sword, in the hands of this steam angel. It's just that one is released as a skill, and one has solidified into a transcendent weapon. Zhou Yu reckoned that every random blow of the Holy Feather Sword was at least the attack power of the 4th level open black lens bracket light feather blade close black lens bracket. Coupled with the blessing of his own steam sequence, that power will only become stronger. When Zhou Yu's transcendent skill hit Elena's head, Elena's Holy Feather Sword slashed at Zhou Yu's shoulders at the same time. The scorching light is dazzling and gorgeous. The two confronted each other like this, and were deadlocked in midair. Elena looked at Zhou Yu in astonishment. How can this be? She is very clear about the power of her sword. Even high-rank transcendents dare not resist easily. But the low-level transcendent in front of him actually blocked it. Moreover, the other party looked completely unharmed. Even if he is a steam knight, even if he is a frank and super defensive occupation. But after all, it was just a steam knight of level 30. It is impossible to block this sword. However, the astonishing fact is right in front of you. This level 30 steam knight has such amazing frankness. Franker than she imagined. It hurts, it's already at the level of a defense-breaking attack. As expected of a high-dimensional invader close to level 50. I've been practicing hacking for so long, but she actually broke my defense. But this little damage can be recovered in the blink of an eye. I can fight this kind of battle all day long. Own's sword is very powerful, and it has a damage increase of more than 10 times. But it didn't cause any harm to the other party. Zhou Yu was not surprised. After all, this high-dimensional Protoss. That's a real Krypton Gold player. The 7th Order, Holy Light Sword. The price of a sword alone, Zhou Yu's training funds over the past few years can't afford it. And the opponent's 9th level Steam Source Armor. That was something Zhou Yu couldn't even imagine. After wearing it, it has a full-body steam shield defense. Such a good equipment, even if it stimulates part of the power. It wasn't something Zhou Yu could break through easily. No doubt, this high-dimensional Protoss, it is a genuine super Krypton Gold player. And Zhou Yu is not bad either. As a plug-in player, how could I be afraid of you, a Krypton Gold player? The damage of this high-dimensional Protoss is just enough to break the defense for me. And my blood bar is super long, and the recovery is amazing. As for the opponent's Steam Source Armor, there is hope of breaking it once his Steam Source Armor is broken. At that time, it is entirely possible to kill this super high-dimensional Protoss. It's time to fight the long game. When Zhou Yu was thinking, Elena also felt a little happy in her heart. Originally, he didn't have much hope for this Steam Knight. I only hope that he can meet the minimum standard of his own belief in knighthood. And now it seems, this guy obviously broke the ceiling of his own believers. Therefore, this steam must not be let go. Be sure to grab it today. Both of them have their own little thoughts. In the blink of an eye, Zhou Yu swung the Blood Gang heavy-edged sword Nian suddenly, and the transcendent skill light feather blade roared like a gust of wind. Every sword slashed at Elena's head. This is where the most steam barriers gather. It is also the part that consumes the most energy. Just hit here, and Elena obviously has a similar plan. The sword light spewed out desperately. For a while. No fancy fighting techniques. There is no moving around. All you have is that if you don't beat me to death today, you don't even think about leaving. The brilliant explosion of the light blade, just like the sun, lights up the entire area. The roar exploded like thunder. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, ... Zhou Yu never backed down. Elena didn't take a step back either. 10 minutes, ... 20 minutes, ... In nearly half an hour. Zhou Yu was stunned. Zhou Yu himself never imagined that this woman could stand up to him for so long without even taking a step back. Own life frankness, if converted into blood bars, it is still full value. This is where the confidence of Own lies. And that woman is actually stronger than her head, still insisting. Moreover, the shield of the angel type, steam source armor, has no tendency to be damaged at all. Her angel-type steam source armor should not be an ordinary steam source armor, and it is very likely to have a strong recovery ability. If this fight continues, there will be no winner at all. It seems that we have to come up with some real means. But, you can't fight here. In case she can't fight and wants to escape, I can't stop her. Pull it to the underground passage, pull it deep, and let her get lost here. At that time, she couldn't escape even if she wanted to. With that in mind, Zhou Yu immediately changed his strategy. Temporary truce today, we will fight again tomorrow. Zhou Yu shouted sharply, jumped straight back to retreat. Want to escape? How could Elena let Zhou Yu go? For half an hour, there was no technological contention at all. Her angel steam source armor lost a lot of energy. But these energies are nothing more than a drop in the bucket to her. His storage bracelet, as well as the energy spar in the steam space, are stacked like a mountain. And the human who resisted her attack with his body alone, has begun to be unable to resist. Let him escape at this time, then she will never find a better believer than this. Zhou Yu quickly fled to the inside of the passage. Elena stepped up her attack while chasing after her. Wei Wei looked at Elena desperately chasing after her. Zhou Yu expressed his satisfaction. Look good, I will only perform this kind of extreme pulling once. The people of the Galway Protoss are still powerful. With the 40-odd levels and this equipment, it is simply invincible. If the elite geniuses of our Koan city-state meet, one counts as one, and all of them will die in battle. I'm afraid there are only geniuses above the top S rank in the Sun God Transcendent Empire. It's barely qualified to fight. It may not be possible to win yet. At the same time, Zhou Yu glanced slightly at Elena who was chasing after her. She should not be very old, and her level is not high. Obviously a novice. Just being a novice is so powerful. How terrifying are the senior experts of the high-dimensional Protoss. Almost all of them are similar to this top Krypton Gold player. It's no wonder that on the Transcendent battlefield, human beings have been defeated repeatedly. Fight with this high-dimensional Protoss of more than 40 levels. Zhou Yu had already initially felt the horror and power of the high-dimensional Protoss. 10 minutes later, Zhou Yu has already pulled Elena to the extremely deep cave area. Forget about Elena. Even Zhou Yu himself had no idea where he was going around. Almost ready, Zhou Yu thought to himself. Zhou Yu has been thinking about a problem for a long time. That is, Zhou Yu's own defense ability is really amazing. But the attack power of Own is obviously far inferior to the defense power of Own. So when you encounter a strong person you can't kill, and the other party has no choice but to own it, what should you do if you change it? The answer given by Zhou Yu is simple. That is, sequence collision. Sequence is the core of the Transcendent, especially the steam sequence, which has a steam spirit body. Relatively speaking, the body of the steam spirit body is relatively fragile. Therefore, no one will take it out for a head-to-head collision. Maybe, the opponent's sequence didn't collapse, but his own did. After all, in the steam sequence, defense is more advantageous than offense. The steam space is the best barrier. But for Zhou Yu, Own owns the existence of the system. Get yourself a steam sequence that also gets a special boost. This put Zhou Yu on a completely different path from others. Fragile steam spirit. In Zhou Yu's hands, it also became an invincible battle shield. Just pile it up with the battle shield. There is no skill at all. But it works. As a knight, what do you need so many bells and whistles for? Reckless and it's over. Big sword. Zhou Yu roared. The golden glow of the sword came from the sky. Elena had no fear. Sword light gushes out. This steam knight of more than 30 levels has very powerful attack power. But it was obviously unable to cause any effective damage to her. Boom. Elena is enveloped in a brilliant golden sword ray. At the same time, Zhou Yu manifested his own steam spirit body, hitting towards Elena. Boom. In the tremor of the sequence dimension, Elena's complexion changed dramatically. In that split second, she felt a roaring steam sequence beast crashing into her steam space. This made her steam space vibrate. Even her angel steam spirit was shaken. What's the situation? In Elena's astonishment, Zhou Yu looked happy. Sure enough, the sword of the Holy Judgment has a powerful beheading effect and can suppress the opponent's perception, thereby covering up the fact that the steam spirit body launched an attack. Big sword. One trick worked. Zhou Yu swung the Shuigong heavy-edged sword again. The steam spirit body once again materialized and collided. This level of impact did not affect Zhou Yu at all. But for the high-dimensional Protoss, it is obviously different. Those Transcendent equipped can enhance her combat abilities, but it doesn't strengthen the solidity of her steam sequence, even if her steam sequence star rank is definitely higher than Zhou Yu's. But Zhou Yu's steam spirit body is hundreds or even 1,000 times as frank as his. Elena, who knew that head-to-head encounters would be disadvantageous, moved her steps, trying to avoid this strike in a sideways direction. She knew that this kind of holy sword was not very accurate. However, the next moment, the Holy Judgment sword seems to have a navigator installed. Boom. Go through it again, bathing it in the majestic sword light. At the same time, the steam spirit body collided. Elena was terrified. How can this holy sword be so precise? Elena is still in a daze. Zhou Yu attacked one after another. Big sword, quote. Zhou Yu slashed one after another. Intensive manifestation. After 7 or 8 consecutive times, Elena's breath was suddenly suffocated, and the transcendent energy was not working smoothly. Boom. Accompanied by the sword of the Holy Judgment this time, Elena was directly hit by the impact of the sword. Good chance. Seeing this, Zhou Yu jumped up directly. Zhou Yu knew very well that On's unique move came out. Even if this high-dimensional Protoss has no combat experience, she will definitely not continue to fight with herself. It will definitely escape at that time. As far as the opponent's 9th level angel-type transcendent source armor is concerned, if he really wants to escape, my own 2 legs may not be able to catch up. And the best way to prevent the other party from escaping from your attack range is to hang on her body. Elena, whose mind was shaken, already had a little fear. That enemy seems to have some sort of sequential attack. Moreover, the power is very powerful. Continue to fight like this, and I will lose with a high probability. I can't spend it with him like this. Flapping her wings, Elena flew again. Where are people? Are you looking for me? The Steam Knight's cheap voice came from beside my ear. You. After feeling the position of the Steam Knight, Elena almost fainted from anger. At this time, Zhou Yu was clearly hanging on Elena's body in the posture of a strong man locked up. Although the posture is indecent, but the effect is really good. Who knows who uses it? I don't know what is the furthest distance between people, but the shortest distance is, I'm hanging on you, but you can't get rid of me. Zhou Yu said meanly. You bastard. In an instant, Elena's exquisite face was extremely distorted, and her voice was so sharp that it almost pierced Zhou Yu's eardrum. Boom boom boom. Violent impact sounds sounded one after another in the depths of the cave. Like an earthquake. Crazy. This woman is absolutely insane. Feeling the impact of a violent storm, the corners of Zhou Yu's mouth twitched. After feeling that Zhou Yu was hanging on his body like a lock, Elena seemed to be insane. Desperately led Zhou Yu to hit the surrounding rock walls. But let the earth crumble and the rock walls crumble. Zhou Yu hung on like this, watching the other party getting more and more crazy. Zhou Yu didn't expect the other party to be honest either. Steam Spirit Body. Released at close range, the shot will collide. Boom, boom, boom. In 1 second, Zhou Yu made 3 impacts. The violent impact made Elena's steam sequence obviously start to become disordered. The operation of the source force began to get stuck. But that's not enough. Continue. Boom boom boom. Elena hit Zhou Yu, and Zhou Yu is the steam spirit body that hit Elena. Both sides are desperate. It's just that it's Elena's life that she's fighting for. After 20 or 30 consecutive impacts, ka ka ka, pong, sounded. Zhou Yu's steam spirit body directly broke through the opponent's steam space barrier. Then Zhou Yu's steam spirit body, like a meteorite, hit Elena's angel true chi spirit body. Boom. At this moment, the sequence shattered. Elena's steam spirit body was torn apart on the spot. It turned into parts scattered in every corner of the steam space. Even a part of the sequence of the steam spirit body was annihilated and disappeared on the spot. Elena's body trembled violently, and she couldn't even control her flying state. Fall down from the sky. The transcendent breath dissipated even more quickly. The sequence is broken. If it is not reshaped, it will be difficult to restore its previous strength. Even if it is remodeling, it will lead to a significant reduction in level. At this time, with the collapse of the angel sequence, Elena is basically abolished. Elena, whose sequence collapsed, was lying on the ground. From the mouth, eyes, nose, ears, and 7 orifices, golden blood flowed out continuously. On the face, there is even more pain. The steam sequence crashes and is backlashing her. Don't talk about fighting now. She wants to stand up, it's all a problem. Although Krypton Gold players are powerful, there is still a certain gap between them and plug-in players. Zhou Yu thought to himself. Concentrate your mind. Zhou Yu started to search for own loot. First of all, there are a lot of resources in the opponent's steam space. Just now, when Zhou Yu's steam spirit body invaded the opponent's steam space, Zhou Yu himself was taken aback by the resources in the opponent's steam space. Brilliant energy spars shining with star brilliance piled up into a hill. On the other hand, the piles in the steam space are not weeds, but a pile of scrap copper and iron, and a lot of corpses. The own steam space is simply a dump, and the steam space of the opponent is a huge treasure house. And now, this treasure house belongs to Zhou Yu. Each of these energy spars is a high-grade energy spar. One worth hundreds of transcendent coins. Thumb-sized high-grade energy crystals piled up into a 5-meter-high hill. How much is this? Preliminary estimates put it at least a few million. Then this is hundreds of millions of transcendent coins. Zhou Yu was stunned by this value. You know, the annual tax revenue of the Corn City State is only in the tens of millions. And this is just the energy spar. In addition to the energy spar, there are many other treasures that enhance the steam sequence. There are also many kinds of rare ores. Zhou Yu looked dazzled. For so many treasures, Zhou Yu naturally scoured everything without leaving anything behind. After searching the opponent's steam space, everything was wiped out. Zhou Yu began to pick up the opponent's angel-type steam source armor. Zhou Yu was amazed at the strength displayed by this 9th-level steam source armor. Such a powerful steam source armor, plus own frankness, the combination of the two. Zhou Yu's defensive ability will be raised to another level. And there is the existence of angel steam source armor. Own candor can be masked to some extent. When the opponent thought that Zhou Yu could be harmed by breaking the angel steam source armor. Excuse me, the steam source just now was just a warm-up exercise. The real battle has just begun. The 9th-level steam source armor is very powerful. Even Elena, who was lying on the ground, breathed in less and exhaled more, had no resistance at all. Zhou Yu also spent a lot of strength, and then he took off this set of 9th-level Angel System Steam Source Armor. Correct, and the 7th Order Holy Feather Sword. Although I can't use it now, I will be able to use it soon. During the inspection, Zhou Yu's eyes lit up. Transcendent Bracelet. Look at this lady's transcendent bracelet set with deep dark stones. Zhou Yu burst into laughter. Needless to say, the treasure must be inside. Such a high-level Protoss. At level 40, he wears the 9th-level Angel-type Steam Source Armor. With a 7th Order lightsaber. The reason why she uses the 7th-level lightsaber is that she can't exert any power with the 8th-level lightsaber. And the opponent's sequence, Zhou Yu also recognized it when he smashed through the opponent's sequence, it was a 5-star sequence. The high-ranking Protoss with such a configuration can come out with their toes. Her identity is definitely not ordinary. In this way, the wealth contained in this bracelet can be imagined. Look at this transcendent bracelet. Vaguely, Zhou Yu had a feeling that he was about to develop. However, the next moment, Zhou Yu's expression of joy froze on his face. Damn, FK. This bracelet actually has a password. Zhou Yu turned around and looked at the high-dimensional Protoss. I saw that the high-dimensional Protoss, with less air intake and more air output, looked like they couldn't last long. Please, don't die, you haven't told me your bracelet code yet. Zhou Yu's words made Elena's body tremble even more violently. Then he tilted his head and passed out directly. After more than an hour. Only then did Zhou Yu find an area where he could communicate with Griu. Galway Protoss. Immediately, Ryu's voice sounded. The voice of astonishment was beyond words. The long-lasting battle just now was you fighting this high-dimensional Protoss. Yes, Zhou nodded. One thing to say, this high-dimensional Protoss is really powerful, equipment, sequences, transcendent skills, and resource supplies. It's all beyond my imagination. Zhou said softly. Hee, that's because you're only in a small place like Corn City State. If you go to the Temple of the Sun, it will probably be different. Even if you leave Corn City State with me, you won't have such a miserable life. Zhou shrugged his shoulders and ignored this. Before Zhou thought that this Ryu was a grave robber who likes to go to ancestral graves. Now, he looks more like a human trafficker. This high-dimensional Protoss seems to be a high-ranking Protoss. But, what happened to her transcendent sequence? It was broken by me. Zhou said lightly. It was broken by you. Ryu said in a very surprised tone. You seem to have no confidence in me. Should I be beaten violently when I meet the Galway Protoss? It's normal for you to be beaten violently. After all, you are only level 30, and she is close to level 50. Then I will disappoint you. By the way, can you open her transcendent bracelet? While thinking, Zhou asked. It can't be opened. Ryu replied very simply. You know it won't open if you haven't tried it. I haven't tried it, and I know it can't be opened. Their transcendent bracelets are very special. The transcendent technology of the high-dimensional invaders has reached an extremely high level. Just their transcendent technology, which can cross the barriers of the universe, will crush us. How do you think the steam sequence technology of transcendent universe on our side, the magic spirit technology? Did we research it ourselves? Obviously not. On the high-level planes, or even on the battlefield of the main plane, those powerful people captured their technological products and conducted reverse research. I haven't done much research on the transcendent bracelet. The level is probably limited to, press the password blindly. Will you let me try? Then why not let me try it myself? At least, my luck is better than yours. Zhou complained. Isn't it okay to use the means of the soul to get the password out of her mouth? Zhou asked. The way you want, those high-dimensional Protoss can't think of it. If you don't use special means, basically as long as he doesn't open it voluntarily, you can't open it even if you know the password. Although I can't unlock it, the Transcendent Science Research Institute of the Sun God Empire can crack the characteristics at the level of karma law. I remember that on the Transcendent battlefield, the Transcendent Warriors of the Sun God Transcendent Empire received the high-dimensional Protoss Transcendent bracelets, and they would all be sent to the Research Institute for research and cracking. As a member of the Sun God's Transcendent Empire, you can hand in things until the cracking is complete. They will give you certain resources based on the resources in the Transcendent bracelet. However, Ryu changed the topic. Compared to the Transcendent bracelet, I think the high-level high-dimensional Protoss you caught should be more valuable. On the Transcendent battlefield, more of those rebel empires, the henchmen of the high-dimensional Protoss are fighting your empire. The lower high-dimensional Protoss have not fought many times with you. And those who want to capture alive, there are very few. And this female high-dimensional Protoss is obviously a high-ranking Protoss, and her value is extremely high. I don't need you to tell me. Zhou put away the Transcendent bracelet and said slowly. Otherwise, I wouldn't put in so much effort to carry her all the way. Also, after a pause, Zhou continued. I want to go back. You're going back, don't you still have a long part of your trial? Ryu couldn't help asking. He is stuck here alone, although he can bear the loneliness. But this guy Zhou can always bring him some fun. Mentor and guide this talent. It's an interesting thing anyway. But I can't stay here any longer. Ryu understood what Zhou meant. Since there is a high-dimensional Protoss appearing here. So hidden, there must be a large group of high-dimensional Protoss. Stay here, the other party will come to you soon. At that time, you will be in danger. It's better to take advantage of this time and leave quickly with someone. Before you leave, do you have anything else to say? Zhou asked. I lied to you before. After a while, Ryu thought about it, but there was no trace of self-blame in his tone. What? Zhou frowned. According to what I told you before, this passage on the left, and then follow the fork in the left, right, left, and left. Can you really get 30 lives? What are you thinking? Transcendent is right there, Ryu said lightly. Before, I was worried that you would rush in and be enslaved by that transcendent obsequiousness. After this period of practice, it should not be possible. Take that transcendent obsession with you, and leave now. Also, there is one more thing. Can't you finish it all at once? Hehe, this is the last thing. Alex should be your mentor. Zhou Yu nodded. The one who attacked you, if my guess is correct, should be Alec, right? Hehe. Ryu smiled. You are very smart, you tell Alec, this grudge has been written down by me, Ryu. Clear. Zhou Yu nodded. Reform well, I will bring your words back intact. Immediately, Zhou Yu carried the high-dimensional alien race and walked towards the huge pothole that he came down from. You bastard. Looking at Zhou Yu's leaving back, Ryu cursed with a smile. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.